Before you start recording your course, you might actually want to write out your entire script. Because if you don't do this, this can result in losing your students' attention while delivering your message. Besides that, you will actually waste a lot more time while you're recording it and also when you're editing it because you want to cut out all of your mistakes. So how do you actually start to write your script? Well, in this video, I will take you along with my process of how I would write a script for my online course, and I will give you the exact steps that go into this. Now, before we get started, I actually want to mention that you will need a script outline for this. I've mentioned how to do this in a video that's on the screen right now. Now, the first step is to figure out if you're doing word for word scripting or if you're doing bullet points. And by word for word, I mean you literally write out the entire script of what you're gonna say. Then you're gonna use probably a teleprompter, or you might just read it from your script. And then you're recording that way. Now, this has some advantages. This is great for people who are good at presenting them and reading it out loud. But the downside is that this can take a lot longer, because every time you make a mistake, you want to redo that sentence. And then this can result into taking a long time to either edit it and also to record it yourself. Now, the second method is to do it through bullet points. And this might actually be a lot easier. You just take the bullet points that you've written out, then you go across like step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And then while you're doing that, you just read what the next part is that you have to talk about. And then you freestyle the parts that are in between this. Now, my advice would be to do a hybrid version of this. So you do a bit of bullet points, then you also write out a few sentences that you need to put in there. And this way you have the best of both worlds. This will also make you come across a lot more natural and also put your own kind of spin to it. Now that you understand what the hybrid method is, we are ready for step number 2, and that is to write without editing. And for this, what I want you to do is from your bullet points, you literally just write out whatever comes up in your head. You just write it out, no need to do any editing on it. You just write out the entire process. So as an example, I will do this with you. Here is one of my outlines for one of my previous videos, which could also be used for a course. So for example, on step 1, if I just want to write out without thinking, then here I'm gonna say, like, for step number 1, I'm just gonna do a lot of typing. I'm just going to write out everything that comes up to my head. And another tip I want to give you is to do like the auto dictation function on your PC. So for example, if I go to help and I type in voice, then I can do voice typing and I can start it right here. If I click to speak, then it will literally write out what I say. So this is a very useful tool to write out everything what you have in your head. Step number 1 is to create a course outline. And for this, you write out all the different modules that you have in your head. And this is literally all the steps that go from A to Z when finishing your course. So what is the process that you want your students to take to reach the end goal? Once you've written out all of those pillars, then you are ready to make chapters in there. And there are different ways to do this. You can even do this with the help of AI. So I've just started writing without editing. I've actually used this dictation function where it types for me. And this is very useful just to get things out of your head. Now you're ready for step number 3, and that is to start editing your rough draft. Now this part is very important, and with writing out a script for your videos, you want to do it sentence by sentence. So for example, this long text, it's hard to read it out loud. So what you will have to do is you will find the part where you cut yourself up, and then you can use just that sentence to write out your script. Also, when recording your video, this is also the steps that you take. Even if you use a teleprompter, then you want to do it sentence by sentence, because that is much easier and much more bite-sized. So when you mess up, you can just redo that one sentence instead of doing the whole paragraph all over again. So now I've edited my paragraph where I've written it out sentence by sentence, and I also have these bullet points. So I can choose either 1 or 2 ways. So I can do it literally sentence by sentence, or I can just check out what the bullet point says, and then I can do it that way. Step number 5 is to prepare for your delivery. And this is very important because this is the step that you must take before you start recording your video. Now with this, I'd like to change up the format. As of right now, it's very chaotic. So what we want to do with this, we want to add some highlights to it. we want to put some things in there on which we need to put more attention. And once we have that done, then we can start recording our video. So these are some of the formats that I use. So for example, the first one is the bold font. And if I put it in bold, that means I want to put some extra emphasis on that part. So let's say, for example, in the first part, I want to put some extra emphasis on step number 1. So I know I need to slow down and come across clearly. Also, in the end, I have another part where I want to do that again. Now, here's an example of another thing that you could do, and it is to put your text in italic. Usually I do this for things like quotes or for sentences that I want to deliver exactly like that. So that can be, for example, a quote where I just put it in italic like this, and then I know that I have to do that word for word. Now another way to do this is to put it in between brackets. So here I removed the part where I had a sentence about AI. I just wrote for myself, give an example of how to do this with AI. And then once I'm reading this, then I know that I just can give an example out of my head and that I don't have to fully follow the script on that part. Now these are just 3 methods of how you can kind of like color code your script, where you have different methods of how you record yourself while recording this. And this of course also depends on the method that you're using. If you got a teleprompter, then you might want to do the entire thing word for word. This is all up to you. But if you are a beginner, then I would suggest to follow the bullet points and to just go out of your head and to not follow the script exactly. So here is an extra tip for when you want to write your course script. Make sure to not exactly follow the script all times. Sometimes it's good to make a joke, to even make some type of mistake. You can even leave that in there. It's all about how you bring across the message to your student. Now, if you've messed up very badly, then of course keep in mind that you can just cut it out in the editing. So don't waste too much of your time by re-recording the entire part or the entire thing. That's exactly why you have the script for. Now, if you're looking for a good platform where you can host your course on, then make sure to check out FreshLearn. And if you have any questions about how to write your script, then leave them in the comments down below. If you want to see more videos like this, then make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.